Welcome everyone to UPAA Live. Today we have our special guest, Jordan Lester. He's from William Penn, and he's going to be, as you all know, you tune in for this, photo mechanic in hot codes and code replacements. Um, if you're needing to keyword and add people's names to photos, and so especially for athletic teams, this is going to get you from spending hours to like half the time. This is going to help speed up your workflow. Other news, we have registration for symposium. If you haven't registered yet and get your hotels and stuff set up, it'd be a good time to start doing that now. And then let me know if this screen is sharing. Oh, just kidding. I'm not going to share my screen because I don't think I have the password to allow myself to share screens. Just kidding. Let's try one more time. Just kidding. I was going to show you, we have some speakers, presenters who have signed up for symposium that we've signed on. We have 3 different speakers so far. We have Amy from National Geographic. We have Loretta from Canada Explorers of Light and Jean from Sony. That's on our UPAA .org underneath the symposium tab. You can go and look more into their bios. But without further ado, I'm going to turn the time over to Jordan, and he's going to educate us. You ready, Jordan?
Awesome. Ready to
Oh,
go.
sorry, Jordan, I forgot to ask. How would you like to handle questions? If people have questions, would you like them to speak up and just do it, or they could type it in the chat and I could interject every now and then when it's a good time to interject and just watch that chat for you?
I'm good with either one. I have a little disclaimer in here. I like to take a scenic approach to things, so I'll kind of take the long way to things. So if you guys have a question or something, just let me know and I can answer it whenever.
Uh,
So
Okay. And then for those who won't have microphones or can't use it currently, I'll be monitoring the chat. And if you put a question in there, I will get Jordan's attention and ask your question for you. Okay, Jordan, take it away.
perfect. Cool. All right. So there's a QR code on here. If you guys, screenshot if you're watching on a phone or take your phone and take a picture of it. This is going to be a Dropbox links with all the um, text files, Excel documents, pretty much everything that I'm going to be talking about today, so that way you guys are able to see it and kind of experiment with it or use it and kind of use it at your own time if you guys want to watch back the video and do whatever. So first off, who am I? Like he said, my name is Jordan Lester. I am in my second year full time with my university, and I'm a first year UPAA member. I was an undergrad for 2 years at a school at our conference, became a GA, and then developed that into a full-time role in 2023. So I am our main athletics photographer. I also handle video, live broadcast, whole bunch of stuff. And then my team, we have our 3 GAs over there who are just off camera, but our my boss is Wade Steinlage. He's been here for 20 years at this point. He's our SID. Kylie, she is our second year GA. She does all of our graphics and she's also our photographer. So if you guys haven't seen any of our stuff, we're just WPU Athletics on all the socials, and she's really awesome and it's really great to see. Claire, she is our first year GA. She's more of a traditional SID, and then AJ's over there and he is our broadcast supervisor and kind of helps us with the live broadcast. So that's kind of our team. So we're a team of 4. Some disclaimers, I guess, kind of disclaimers. My workflow is not your workflow. So some things that I do won't work for you guys. Some things that you guys might need won't work for us. I'm just kind of showing you what I'm doing. Like I said, I like to take the long way to explain things. It's just a habit of mine. So if it doesn't make sense, please let me know. I will be more than happy to clarify and do all that. And then this is just I took a workshop with a guy a year ago to learn some of this stuff. This is more or less just out of respect for him. I'm not sharing his stuff. This is all stuff that I've come up with after the class. So if you guys are interested in his stuff, there's the link down here that you guys can visit as well. So before we get too far into it, there's 3 things that we'll be talking about. It's variables, hot codes, and code replacements. Variables are in the squiggly brackets for photo mechanic. Hot codes are in square brackets, and then code replacements are usually in an equal sign. This second one right here, where you have one squiggly and one square, has messed me up a ton. So when you guys are starting to do this, be careful of that. They are the same key on the keyboard. And if you don't press shift, you're going to have a bad time. And I've done that more times than I can count. Sometimes it matters if you do a hot code first or a code replacement first in Excel. And when we get to Excel, I'll kind of explain that. But you're going to be working a lot with tab delimited text files. Since we're working in Excel, we're going to have an Excel workbook, which is the file extensions. It's called XLXL or XLSX, but those don't work in photo mechanics. So there's a different step that we'll have to do. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. To use hot code, you have to have photo mechanics 6. You don't have to have the subscription model. You just have to have the one with the green or yellow icon. But it does work with the subscription model too as well. Test things before you actually use them. So don't go to the NCAA tournament and expect to use it the first time and it works. I've done that and it's not fun. A lot of extra work on the back end. And then the sky's the limit, but also is the ground. So you can go as in depth as you want with this stuff, or you can go very basic. I tend to go too far. So if that's not what you guys need, you guys can also do it very simple and it gets the same job done. So what was our problem? Why is this a problem?
Jordan, I'm going to pause
Yep.
you for a second.
Yep.
You want to go ahead and make your presentation full screen?
Yep, I can do that. Been a while since I've used this. Oh, there we go. There we'll go there. Is that
I like, yeah,
this
I think
work?
that'll work.
Say it's been a while. I don't really use I don't use Microsoft or PowerPoint too much. So
I mean, we're just supposed to take photos, and that's our storytelling.
I
Make it
know
like,
that's if it was Photoshop, I could make a Photoshop perfect for this, but figured PowerPoint might be a little better.
I think this works great.
Perfect. So some of our problems are we're having inconsistent metadata. Some schools in our conference have hyphens, some have spaces. And if you don't know and you're typing late one night, it can just get kind of weird. So you could have different search results. We also have multiple shooters. We have, 2-3 cameras, 2-3 shooters. Someone's going to label something different. They're going to abbreviate a school instead of being, for whatever reason, BYU, they could be just BY or BRYU or something weird. This just kind of helps. This will help get that all consistent. Meant that we have to train every person in photo mechanic. Not everyone wants to be in photo mechanic. They want to take photos. So this is just an easy way to, if they don't want to have to learn that part, they can still participate and use our system without needing to know everything. And then if something changes, it's easier to do it this way than have to make an entire guide on how to do it again. Basically, I'm the one that's in charge of our metadata policy. So if something changes or how it's supposed to be done, I'm the one that knows it. It's unfair for other people to try to read my brain. We have a lot of multiple games and events at the same time. If you're an athletics photographer or a university photographer, you understand like there's times where you're going from event to event and things can get a little complicated. And there's times where I'd be late at night having to redo photos because they had the wrong metadata or whatever else. And then if photos come in late, you have to try to remember how you filled it out or who took them, and it can just be kind of a mess. So again, why was this a problem? I'm our only full-time photographer in athletics, and I get backed up quite easily because there's a lot to do. RGAs help a lot, but again, with what I was saying earlier, it's hard for them to read my brain. They shouldn't have to. Like I said, I do a lot of stuff around the university, but I also do a lot of freelancing. So this helps me with that as well because it's all consistent. I'm using the same stuff that I would be no matter where I'm at, whether it's helping out another university or doing my own thing. Inconsistent searching on SmugMug. Again, if your keywords are not the same, you're going to be getting different results for different things. This leads to more time for our office filling requests. It means that we get to create less and we take less breaks. which is not a good thing. We want more breaks and more time to be creating things. Um, and then, time. We all love time. Time's the only thing we can't really pay to get back, which wish we could, but we can't. The best thing we can do is try to save that time as much as we can. Um, so solving the problem. So how did we do it? Just this is more of a thank you page, I guess. UPA helped a lot. BYU photo, especially just seeing how you guys kind of do things. I know Florida, there's some students who have TikToks or Instagrams and they kind of show what they do at their university. And that kind of helped me kind of gather what other universities do and, kind of make something that works for us. Photo Shelter also, I don't know how many times I've read their blogs to try to figure out what other schools are doing and just try to see how, we can incorporate a lot of that. Um, we're a small NAI. I think we have 800 to 900 students. Um, and, we're 80% athletics or athletes. So we're not the biggest school, but we're also not the smallest. So, learning from the bigger schools and people who have done it for years helps us out in the long run. Here's just a quick screenshot of what our first metadata template looked like. It's pretty basic. You got our school, sport, and what the event is, and that's it. It was a start, but again, I would like one system to not have to figure out, if I'm shooting for one team or another organization, I want kind of everything to be consistent. So our second attempt, we used a lot more. This is, I think, what a lot of people use photo mechanics. They usually supplemental categories over here, or they'll use some other categories and use them as like their, who's the away team? William Woods University, and then that also populates in the caption by using a variable. It works, but you're, still having to go in and type things in and, you can miss something. And if you miss something, it could be more time fixing on the back end. So this is what we kind of came up with. Basically, it kind of uses both code replacements. It also uses hot codes and then variables as well. And the good thing with this is I can go to, so I went to a UNI and Murray State basketball game during our winter break. The same exact setup that I normally do for our university. And I just type in the two new school names in an Excel sheet and it's all ready to go. So, if I visit, BYU or University of Tennessee or wherever I go, it's always going to be consistent. I do stuff for a USL2 soccer team in the summer, same exact template, and it's the exact same. It's just I change the team names out to whatever they are. The thing that really caught people's attention was for track nationals. We have one that we use for track nationals. And I shot the entire nationals tournament and we shoot in folders a lot. So we'll create a new folder in our camera for each event. So we'll have, 200 something folders in our camera. Each event gets a different folder. And based on that folder number, it will input all this information. I had our 100-meter dash person ran his personal best at nationals. And by the time that I got back to my computer, pushed upload, got a drink and came back, they were all captioned with his event, finals, his name, everything uploaded to our smug mug. And he asked if he could, when he would get the photos, I said, they're already up, go have fun, search up your name. And his eyes kind of got wide and was like, how did you do that so quickly? And I left, and the photographers that were there covering the event for the NAI, they were still there for 2 hours after I left, putting them into the right folders and whatever else. So this kind of helped me save time on my end so that I could go do something different or, take breaks. And I'll pull up the Excel sheet so this all makes sense. I kind of was making the PowerPoint and realized that I could make it about 50 slides rather than just showing you guys the Excel sheet. So we'll get into that in a little bit. And then this is the other one I wanted to show you guys. This is our media day one.
Hey, Jordan,
Yes.
we're gonna try to switch to a different presentation mode just because this is pretty meaty with a lot of
Yep.
visual. That's kind of hard to see.
Perfect.
We're probably just
Yep. I had to figure out how to do it. And I can also I can pull in, or I'm going to pull up to the Excel sheet with photo mechanics so you guys can kind of see it too.
try hit not use
Um,
slideshow. Let me
how do I,
see that. Nope. Yeah, let's try
does
that. I
that
think that's
work?
better for everyone.
Okay, I'll go back a little bit if I can figure out how to. Yeah. All right, so here's our two-team one. And again, you guys will have these access to all this files or all the snapshots for these. And I'll show you guys how to do all that too. And then here is the track nationals one. And once you guys see the Excel sheet, it'll make a lot more sense. And then the studio one is the same as our portraits, but it just there's an A versus an "an" in the caption because it's a pet peeve of ours to not have the correct, you know, spelling and stuff. So that's the only difference. But if I ever reference portrait or studio ones, it's kind of the same one. Um, and then kind of future ideas. So what we want to do is make one for each sport. So that way we have like a drop down menu for if it's a baseball game, it already has all the 11 innings in there. If it's basketball, it auto populates, first half, second half, um, all that kind of stuff. And then just to kind of help us save time when we're actually out shooting and not having to think, in the field, what are we wanting to do with our metadata? And then this, I'm going to pull up the Excel sheet. Oop, there we go. All right, so I kind of trimmed down our spreadsheet for one for you guys just because there's a lot of trial and error in there, and I don't really know if that's kind of just trimmed out that stuff. So this is the Excel file that you guys will get as well. There's a little welcome tab that kind of explains things. It's going to be generally the same as what I'm going to say in here. But yeah, this will be able to help you guys. So we have a tab here called schools. And basically what this whole thing is there's a bunch of tables that we're using VLOOKUPs in Excel to kind of go from sheet to sheet. So for example, schools here, we'll type in, oh boy, we'll go Des Moines University. So in this table, we have school name. So this is their mascot. It's, we'll just say they're the Rams. Abbreviation. So what's their abbreviation? Well, DMU is their school abbreviation or whatever we decide that their abbreviation is going to be. Whatever conference that they're in, we'll just go example conference. What's their conference abbreviation? We'll go EC. And then what division? So they NCAA, NAIA. This just kind of helps us if we're playing, a Division I team in a scrimmage or in an exhibition. It kind of helps us, just track where that's at. And it's an easy way to search things up. So we'll go NAIA just because that's what we are. So that's it. You got to enter it once. And then down here on the tabs, it's labeled 1A, two teams simple. And here's kind of the meat and potatoes of what a game day looks like for us. So here's the visiting team or home team. If you click it and go, there's Des Moines University, and it will automatically look up the mascot, the abbreviation, and the conference for that school without having to type anything. Same thing works down here, similar thing if it's a home team. And then we have, we go back to schools. We also have, this is one thing that we're actually adding, which I think somebody asked in the Facebook comments about locations. People calling them different names, whatever else. I don't know if this would necessarily help with that, but this could be something that you could build into it. I think they were talking about having like, if it's for us, we have the Pin Activity Center, but people refer to it as the pack. This could be something that we could incorporate in this table. But similar thing we're working on is adding the location name, and it will auto-populate city, state, where it's located. So that way, when you go back to this two-team example, you just have to type in the location, and it will auto-populate the city, state, country, everything. So at the end of the day, you only have to enter in 6 things, and you have a full template of metadata that's consistent and reusable. Most of these tables go up to like 1 million entries, so there shouldn't be a limit. But the more you add, the more it gets slower. We just haven't gotten to that point yet. but this is one thing we're actually currently working on. Sports, this is where a lot of the other additional stuff is as well. Every table in here is shaded blue and white, so anything that's blue and white, you guys are able to add stuff into that. Over here we have sports. We use a similar thing to BYU where you guys have, three letters for the sport and then a male or female designation. Again, just trying to get consistency. And you guys can just add things to here. You don't have to like refresh anything or, copy and paste over. It just kind of syncs itself over to all these additional sheets. Event class, this is kind of a free for all. It's whatever you guys can use it for. We split up athletics and university because we're kind of separate entities. And then we just kind of do like, athletics dash, and then is it a conference game? Is it a varsity game? This just kind of helps us know at the end of the year, we can search up by these and see, how many JV events are we doing? How many varsity games do we have? Just kind of seeing our ratio of what we're doing. And then the further on you go, I mean, some of these are wrestling. We're going to add wrestling in eventually. So here's just the weight classes. We have all the states with their AP abbreviations. So that way you don't have to go look up what's the AP abbreviation for, Kansas. It just auto populates based on Kansas. So yeah, this is just kind of that. The one thing that we really, really love from this is the photographer section. I think this one might be useful to a lot of people. I own my own kit here at William Penn. So my cameras are my own, so I can put in my own serial numbers. But if you guys have serial numbers of like your own cameras that you personally use all the time, or if you have certain like student cameras, you can put the serial number in here and then their name, last name, and all that. And it will auto, assign that credit to that person. So we have people that shoot for us, once a year. I put their serial number in this spreadsheet, and if they ever send us photos anywhere, it will auto find that serial number in their EXIF data from their camera and auto assign that name to them. This works really nice for if I find photos later that kind of got missed. We don't have to really remember who shot the photos. We just know, okay, it's this camera, it's this person's camera, or whatever else. So this is something that we really enjoyed from this. So those are kind of the setup tabs, these green ones down here. You guys can add as much as you guys want to this, to those tables. Any of the red tabs are kind of the ones that we use a lot of. So this, in a basic word of what a code replacement is versus a hot code. Code replacement is, it works on a line level. So a code replacement will work on here if we go to cell A3, where it says WPU job ID. This is a code replacement, and it works horizontally. So this would be the code replacement you'd put in between your equal sign. This would be the first variation of that one. The next line would be the second variation, and so on. A lot of people use that for, this would be like a person's full name with, Jordan Lester of William Penn University. This second or the third column here, column C, might be, Jordan Lester. And the fourth column might be Lester. Those are the basics of code replacements. Hot codes use this. I always get it confused if it's a backslash or if it's a forward slash. I think it's a backslash. But it uses the two slashes and then two equal signs. And what this is basically doing is when photo mechanics sees this designation, the dash dash equals equals, it will actually look for whatever is to the right of it in the template or your EXIF data. So we use folder num a lot. And what folder num does in photo mechanics is takes your folder number of your camera and it takes the first three numbers of that folder number. So it basically says, okay, we want to look for those. That's the variable we want photo mechanic to look for. And then under here, anything that's orange or with the slash slash and pound pound. Basically, this is where code or this is where hot codes start. Um, Hot codes, what it'll do is Photo Mechanic will look at this list and say, okay, I want to find folder num 100. So in your card, it will find that folder number and all the photos inside of that folder, and it will start to um, input that data based on what's to the right of that number. And I'll do an example real quick. I have my camera and I'll show you guys how it works just so you guys can also see it. This blew my mind when I saw this. Life got a lot easier. Um, but what we do it for is we have folder 100 usually pregame because we take a lot of pregame stuff. Folder 101 is usually during the first quarter. Um, and so on, all the way until we get to, halftime, following the game. By that time, we're usually like 107. The other, and I'll see if I can pull it up here on our teams so you guys can see it a lot better too. We do all of our promotions as well. So our athletic operations team does the promotions, but we capture it. There's also a lot of special things that we have sometimes during events. Rather than having to remember, what photos actually should be tagged with that and whatever else, we just shoot it in a different folder. So for this example, our promotions is shot in folder 116 pretty much all the time. And what that'll do is it'll say in the caption, instead of during the game, it'll say during a promotion. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but we like to do captions that way. When we send it off to news people, they know what's going on. But here we have our keywords. This is where we use a lot of it too. This hot code is placed into our keywords panel, and all these keywords will populate in based on what folder we shoot it into. So when we're doing a promotion in folder 116, all those folders get tagged with promotion and athletic operations without having to touch a finger or without having to like touch a stationary pad in Photo Mechanic. That helps us not have to go back through and add promotions to everything or anything else. It just kind of simplifies things on our end. It,
And
yeah,
then I have a question for you.
yep. What's up?
So I'm a little unfamiliar with shooting into folders on your camera. So are you
Okay.
saying that you have pre-designated folder names that you can like select to shoot into?
Yeah. So what we do, and I don't think I'm giving away any private of my information, so bear with me real quick. So we have a folder in our Dropbox that's called, for us, it's called Sony multiple folders. And I've actually made 150 Sony folders in my camera and just copied it onto my hard drive. And whenever I go to an event, I just format the card, put this on the card, and it auto populates with 150 folders that I'm ready to shoot with.
So tell me if I understand this correctly. So like let's say you're shooting live game action and all of a sudden it comes into a promo time
Yep.
kind of thing. You stop, go to your camera and say, this folder,
Yep.
and then shoot the promo. Promo's over, you're going back to action. So I'm going back to my action folder.
Yep.
And then once you have that done, you run your photo mechanic and say, look at these folders and apply everything that applies to these folders into these crazy.
Yep. Luckily for us, we're NAI. We're not Division One at all. I went to my first D1 game this past year, and I can't believe how quick those move. Um, so like this might not work the best for high pace things. But for ours are slow enough, and we have a good relationship with our ops team that they kind of let the promotion wait for another 15 seconds to let me get ready because they know that if they can't find the photos, then doesn't help them at all. So they kind of slow things up a little bit to make it work. But yeah, if you shoot a Nikon camera, they have a really nice setting that you can set the folder really quickly. Canon and Sony don't have that feature, but you can just put it in the menu system, and I'll show you guys with my camera how that's done. Um, it's we use it a lot for media days. That's where our bread and butter for this is media day. It cut our post production time from like 8 hours to like 20 minutes. Beside the actual editing of the photos. But yeah, that's how we use it during a game. And then down here, it has all the photographer lists. So it will auto pull that table over and assign the photographer based on what's going on. For hot codes, you can only have one at a time the normal way. So by doing it this way, where you have the equal sign and the pound sign, you can only do one of those in an Excel sheet. To get around that, you have to enter this little thing right here where you have the four backslashes, namespace, and then you put quotes and you put whatever you want that namespace to be. That basically, this little bit right here that this highlighted area tells Photo Mechanic, hey, we have another hot code section. So this is not the same as what it used as the other one that we have in this text file. And all this is doing is looking at the serial number of the camera and referencing it with this data in the Excel sheet. If it doesn't find a match, it will then go to the next one, which is the file name you put in the camera. So if you guys label camera 1A, 1B, 1C, or I label mine 1JL, 2JL, it will then look for that and kind of just go down the list. At a fallback, you do have a model. So if you have 5 different camera models and you don't have any duplicates, you could do the model as well. But again, the sky's the limit. You can use any variable you want here. For golf, we sometimes use day of the week. So if it's a 4-day tournament, that's 1 round per day. We'll even put in there, 2025, April 1st is round 1. April 2nd is round 2. April 3rd is round 3, and so on. And it will pull that date and then put the correct round in there as well. You can get very, very in the weeds and very technical, or you can just, stick with, the basics. I love doing this. This is kind of what gives me peace at night. I know people love editing photos. I'm not that type of person. I'm more this. Here's an example of that track one I was showing you guys earlier. Or we'll go back to this spreadsheet here. Here's an example of what track would look like. Or nope, that's not track. There we go. So up here is your kind of basic coder placements again, where you have, event name, location name, city, state, all that good stuff. And then down here is where the hot code starts. So we have athlete name, athlete school, event, keywords, all that stuff. And basically what it'll do is, I'll see if I can pull up his. So here is, he broke his personal best and he's waiting. We'll go with this one. This one works well enough. So here's all the info that it put in without me having to type anything at the actual event. So you can see here it reads show Walter John. I'll see if I can do this. So you can see here it says show Walter Johnson of William Penn. And down here, I shot him in folder 136. Show Walter Johnson, William Penn. Competes in the men's 100-meter dash final. And then his event would have been the men's 100-meter dash final. And then so on and so on. It also puts that event in our keywords. And all I had to do was shoot him in that folder. And then for any event that we weren't in, I just put a generic, I do 8 Ys. That's something that I learned from that workshop that I was in, that it's very easy to search up 8 Ys in your database to find things. So if there's like a placeholder, that's what we use. But yeah, so this all populates based on this spreadsheet, and all I had to do was just copy over what the schedule of events was. So that's one of the examples we have for track. Media days. Here's what we have again. This one is actually all ready to go for you guys. If you guys want to use it, there is nothing in here that has to be changed besides the yellow tabs. This one is actually the one I'm the most proud of. We have 27 sports, and it is a lot. Oh, wrong sport. Let's go.
So Jordan, again for this
Yes.
one for your media days, are you assigning each athlete a folder number?
Yes. So we have again, yeah, we have an InDesign document that it uses data merge. And again, this will be something I'll add in there too. It works off of a text file as well. So you can see here it's just labeled women's basketball. But if you go in here and go to let me rephrase that. You got to go, so your file is here. This is your women's basketball player ID card file. If you guys notice, it is the exact same as it's the exact same as this. So all we do is after we put in what team they are, what sport, and their names, we just copy this whole thing over to the end of their full name. We go Command C, back to this text file, delete all these ones, and paste it in there. So now it's changed with football. We will go Command S to save that text file. Go back here to the data merge. If you don't know data merge in InDesign, you go to Window, down to Utilities, and then Data Merge, and it will bring up this little section right here. And then you click Update. So it updates from that text file you just edited. Click Preview. And here is ID cards for every person. And we actually print these out and give these to the athletes. This does not leave their possession, or they don't get a photo without this card. We get upset with them if they lose them. Our GAs will track them down and make sure they don't lose them. But everyone also loses them. It's a fun game to play. But it basically gives us their folder number. So no matter who's shooting the folder or shooting the photo or where they're at, they're always folder 109. Whether it's a headshot, portrait, anything, they're always that folder. This is also our backup in case things get messed up. We know, okay, this is their job ID and this is their folder number. And then obviously their last name, first name, they correct their name on here. So if there's a correction to their name, we see it in the photo. I pass that to our SID, and it's kind of a check balance for them. So that way we don't get their name spelled wrong. We print these off, give these to the athletes. A lot of them like to keep it. It's a fun little momentum they like to take. But the nice thing about it, which is why I really enjoy it, is you can do multiple sports at the same time and not have to change metadata. So you can have football on here, but you can also have at the bottom, we had some women's soccer players that just joined the team that needed done, and men's soccer as well. And we didn't have to change SD cards, didn't have to do anything different. All we did was just put them in the spreadsheet at a different folder number, and Photo Mechanic took care of the rest. We just had to shoot the photo in the correct folder. So, and I think it'll take me about 5 minutes, but I'll kind of give you guys a run through quick of how this one works, just so you guys kind of see it in action. And then we have a staff headshot one. This one kind of took off of what Stephen Bridges did for his UPAA live, I think last year. It's kind of similar, but it's our spin on it. We have first name, last name, and a lot of my stuff, I like to have their last name without hyphens or apostrophes because some systems don't like it. So we also basically have some formulas in here that will take, whatever's in this last name column, get rid of capitals, get rid of, periods, hyphens, commas, all that stuff. So there's like one kid here with a hyphen in his name, like right down here, it'll take out, so it's Jackson Jamerson with a hyphen, but the last name will take out the hyphen. It just makes it easier for us to have consistent file names. That's essentially at the end of the day, that's what we want is consistency. If we know how we're doing it, we're able to find something quickly. So yeah, that's how that works. And staff headshots is kind of the same. This one we're kind of working on. So if this one doesn't work, I'm going to try to make it work. This one's our newest one that we're trying to work on, but So for instance, I'll see if I can do this. I'll try it out. So on your camera, I don't know if I might try to get out of screen sharing real quick, just so you guys can kind of see. Um, I'm not sure how to put me on a big screen, but if you guys are able to,
Oh, you're on the big screen. You just need to focus.
perfect. There we go. So I shoot Sony. So I have in the menu setting.
Just go further
Uh,
away from your camera for a second. That's better focus right there.
is it reversed?
No, no, no. That's
Okay,
readable.
perfect. All right. So in a Sony, it's the yellow menu icon, and then it is um, setup 6 for the Sony A7 III. You can find it on YouTube or wherever else for your specific camera model. Um, but there's a new folder option, but there's also a select record folder. So what we do is we make a ton of folders. So here's 3 folders that we made. We go to select record folder and we'll choose it here. So I'm on folder 100 now, and I'll take a picture of a little fake plant on my desk. So we'll take that in folder 100. We'll go, I have changed my camera to use the down button as my menu. So that brings up the menu. Go to select record folder, change it to 100, and I'll take a picture of a random other thing on my desk. And then select the same thing, record folder down to 102, and then take another random picture there. So all on the same SD card, 3 different folders. Um, so I'll turn that off for now, and then zoom this back out. And then I will share my screen again. So in here, we're just going to use the same idea because it's the same spreadsheet. I'm not going to change too much of it. The only thing I'll change is I'll just change these job IDs to say UPAA, just so that way we can kind of see the difference of what it's doing. And then we'll change one of the sports. We'll change that to be competitive dance. So that way we can kind of see it working with multiple sports. And you can see here it changes the sport code and um, the sport name without spaces and all that stuff for our file name. This is the other most important part is when you want to save this to use it, you can't just save it and go into Photo Mechanic. You have to go up here to File and then go to Save As, and that will bring up your, I'm on a Mac. It'll bring up your save options here. You want to go down to File Format and make sure you click Tab Delimited Text .txt. This makes everything work perfect. If it's not this, Photo Mechanic has some issues. So we click that and then name it whatever you know, whatever your naming convention is for what you want to do. So I named it UPAA demo, and I'll go ahead and click save. If you're doing multiple ones of you're going to want to click yes on both these. It just says, hey, a text file can't store all of this data throughout all the sheets. That's fine for what we need it for. The one thing you want to make sure you don't do is if you're making multiple, don't save it as a text file and then keep editing that same text file. Because text files are only one Microsoft Excel sheet. If you try to edit it here, you're going to lose data and it's not going to work as well. So after you do one, you're going to want to exit out of that specific Excel that you used and reopen. If my computer doesn't give me the wheel of death, you're going to want to go back and open that older one that you saved beforehand. So your master spreadsheet. And that will get you back to the main one. This one got me a lot. I forget which file I'm on. So it's best to probably do them one at a time and not, you can do it ahead of time if you want to. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way to have a button that will automatically save it as a different file and keep you in the same Excel workbook, but I haven't gotten there quite yet. Um, but what that'll do is in your file, it will save it as a text document right here. So UPA demo, if we open that, here is what it'll look like. Whole bunch of data from that sheet, but it's in a way to where here's your code replacements. So you have your school year, which is your code replacement. And then here is what it will replace it with. And then down here for hot codes, here is that hot codes. I'll call it syntax. I don't know if that's the correct wording for it, but basically here's where your hot code will start. And then it looks similar to code replacements. The only difference is instead of having to do the code replacement, a pound sign, and 12 for the 12th column over, it actually will just take this column name that we made here for extra keywords. Makes it a lot more user friendly. So I'll take my card out of my camera, put it in my card reader. Photo Mechanic will recognize it. So here's where we kind of start with Photo Mechanic. Here's the ingest screen. I go down here to metadata template. And then we use snapshots. So you'll go down here to this lightning bolt and click it. And here's all of our snapshots that we have saved. They are the same name as the sheet in the Excel document. That way you just match up what the number is and what the name is. So in the Excel document, it was 1A. So we'll go over here to Photo Mechanic and click on the snapshot and go to 1A. All right, here's our 1A and we're on version 6. Or sorry, let me rephrase that. This one is actually 2A. We do media days as 2A. So we'll go back here to the metadata template, snapshots, and we go to 2A, which is right here. And they are going to be official portraits. So there, and here's where it just auto updates all of the information from that spreadsheet that we put in Photo Mechanic. So here's first name, last name as a code replacement. And here in the caption, here is the home team and a code replacement. So if it's different teams, it will auto do that based on whatever it is in that Excel file. Here's photographer full name, code or a hot code again. Job ID. That is actually one thing I'll say thank you to BYU. That is the biggest thing that we've done that I think will make our lives so much easier is that having the 7-digit job ID. That's made our lives so much easier. So I'm glad I learned that watching their stuff on UPAA. And then here we have category and basically just our copyright information. So we'll close that template. And then here's the ingest screen again, and we'll go to the snapshots and click 2A Media Day Portrait. And then, so here's how we name our files. We name them last name, first name, school year with an underscore, because I don't like hyphens or spaces in file names because it can get a little tricky. Home team abbreviation, sport without a space, and then a sequence number. This will pull all that data from the hot code itself. The only thing you have to do is set your destination. So we'll go primary destination, and I'm going to put it in this UPAA folder for now. And that's all you have to do. Well, that's the majority of the setup. To get a code replacement into Photo Mechanic, you will go to the main Photo Mechanic, like this opening page. I have it as the command is Control Command C, or you can go up here to Edit, down here to Settings, and then Set Code Replacements. So again, Edit, Settings, Set Code Replacement. And then this will bring up this screen. You'll click Add, and this is where you will add that text file that we made from the Excel document right here. 1A UPAA live demo. You'll click Open. In the newer version, the subscription model, you have an automatically reload option, which is really nice. Basically, if you edit this document outside of Photo Mechanic, it will automatically reload it. If you don't, it's just another step. You just have to click Reload All. Not the biggest of deal. and you'll want to make sure your delimiter character is an equal sign. If not, you'll have to go into the template and change that equal sign to something different. Equal sign should be the default if you have Photo Mechanic 6. So if you haven't messed with it at all, it should work. You'll push OK. So now that code replacement and hot code file is loaded in Photo Mechanic, you'll go back to the ingest screen. You'll click on your SD card. And if you click ingest, it should, just like that. You can see here in the, oh, I got the sharing. Let me figure out how to do this. There we go. So you can see up here is the file name. So it says Group A, 2024, 2025 football. And in here, it completes the entire caption. All the keywords are there. We have our headshot, studio, branded background. Everything's done. Now, it also puts it into different folders based on the sport. So up here, here's the folder name. So it's the date, the event. So UPAA2, or sorry, job ID, which for us would be, UPAA2. And then what's the event? So it's the 2024, 2025 William Penn University competitive dance studio photo. So that's the first picture in that folder. If we go to a different folder, so here's our football one. Oh, why is it not ingested? Hold on, let me figure this out real quick. Oh, it just hadn't loaded yet. I work off Dropbox a lot, so the online didn't have time to catch up. So here's that football one we were just looking at. Here's the next one, which would be, if you look at the folder name, it's got that different job ID. So it's UPAA1, and it's William Penn University football studio photo. And if you click it, here's the file name. So this is Cedric Adams, 2024, 2025 WPU football. And it auto fills the caption based on his name, sport, and what type of photo it was. And in the keywords, it also puts his name and all of our additional information. And then it also puts him as person shown. We don't use person shown in our SmugMug because I don't really know if it looks at that, but I know Photo Shelter does, I think. And if I'm wrong about that, forgive me, but I only use it for my personal stuff, but I think it looks at person shown. So it'll also put it here for those specific systems that use that. And then down here, it puts the photographer name. So if you have two people doing media days, if you split it up by the first half and the last half to be different photographers, you can set that up in the spreadsheet to where it'll auto put the right person in that spreadsheet. And it'll put like location, whatever we decide that to be, and then all this other information that we like to use. We use category, job ID, and title a lot. And then you go over here to the next folder. Here it is again with a different person's name on the competitive dance team. So I didn't have to make new folders. I didn't have to go in and make 3 different shoot folders. I didn't have to go in and change what sport they were. Do it on the Excel sheet, which I think is a lot easier in an Excel sheet with the columns highlighted yellow. The other nice thing we can do is copy it from our website. So if you have an online roster, you can copy that, use just the names, put it in the Excel sheet so you don't have to actually type them. Again, helps reduce errors. That's the big thing with us, is just trying to reduce the amount of human errors. Just because we have computers, they can do some pretty cool things. Let's let them do what they do well. So that's what we use it for. That's kind of just I call it a brief overview just because I can go in the weeds on it a lot. One example that we use it for as well is I shoot some stuff for our conference. See if I can get this pulled up real quick. So I shoot a lot of stuff for them if I'm at the event that they're at. So here's our competitive cheer. And here you can see the metadata of my folder, my photos. It says, here's our 8 X's or Y's. That's kind of what we use as like a placeholder of Graceland University. competes during the 2025 Heart of America Cheer Championships and wherever it's held at. And then the keywords down here has competitive cheer, Graceland, basically all that information that we put in the spreadsheet. So I don't have to go in and rename, think what team was this? Was this Graceland? Was it a different team? It just automatically does it. So here's another folder of Culver Stockton, and it says Culver Stockton College. The only thing I did was after Graceland competed, I changed the folder number from 100 to 101 and then 102. And I didn't have to really think about it at all past that point. It just kind of does it on its own.
Hey, Jordan.
Yep.
I forgot. I got a little distracted and reading some of the questions. A little
Oh,
bit,
yeah.
one a little bit late, and also we're close to running out of time for some people. One of the questions was, could you briefly explain what the job ID does?
Yes. So for what we use job ID for is we have a shoot log that we used from your guys' example with Utah Valley, I think a year or two ago. This is basically how we organize our events. We do a 7-digit number, first choose the year, month, and then the shoot number, similar to what BYU does. And it just kind of helps us organize ourselves. Rather than having we do photo, video, and broadcast all from our office. For us, we like having that 7-digit number to make everything organized. So if we do any video, the file name will get renamed with that job ID in there. So if we ever need to find, for example, our soccer team was the runner-ups in our national tournament in December. So anything to do with William Penn Soccer Nationals, if you don't know what you're looking for, if you search up these job IDs anywhere in our hard drives, it will pull in what we basically all of our stuff. So I use a program called Post Haste. Again, trying to get more succinct or more consistent. We make a folder for each event that's basically a template, and that job ID basically helps us organize where everything is. So we have, nationals, footage, photo raw, and here's all of our raw photos. Here's all of our photo edits for that event. If we have any raw video, it goes into here. And this also gives us a project file as well of a Premiere file. So we have all of our logos in there. We have all of our specific sizes for TVs, video boards, social media, all that stuff. The job ID basically for us is not needed for you guys necessarily. You guys can leave that blank, or I can make a version without it. But that's just what we use to kind of organize all of our content. So it's all findable.
Hey, Jordan. We got a
Yep.
couple of other things. Some people are asking, so
Yep.
maybe like this could be your um, summation or touch up on kind of some of the things.
Yep.
They're asking, where can you look online to find help with photo mechanic and hot codes and
Um,
things like that? Where are some good resources that
so
you
I
found that are
use,
worth it?
yeah, so Jeff Vogan, Jeff Jeff Vogan, Victor Oscar Golf Echo Romeo, or no, it's an N at the end. It's November at the end. Jeff Vogan, he has a YouTube channel. Again, a lot of the stuff on his YouTube channel is great. That gets you most of the way there. The stuff that I took from his class was I used a lot of this using the lookup tape. Look, or wow, words are difficult. I used a bunch of this verificate or data validation where it takes from one sheet, it looks at another sheet. That's what I kind of added from what he taught us. So I just looked on online for Excel, how to use Excel, typed in what I wanted to do. I'm sure ChatGPT would also help tell you how to do things in Excel. That's what I did. But Jeff Vogan for Photo Mechanic, they have some other, if you just search Photo Mechanic on YouTube, there a lot of videos come up. I just watched a lot of YouTube and practiced a lot.
Then I'm going to interject. Someone in the
Yep.
chat says that there's a Facebook group for photo mechanic as well.
Yes, I'm in that as well. So
So there's
forgot about
another way
that
to
one.
connect. Yeah. There's another request. Could we end on the QR code? that you
Yes.
had at the beginning of your
Yep.
that right?
This is our university. Well, it's my personal Dropbox, but it links through our university. So it should be active even if I leave my employer. Um, so this QR code shouldn't need to change. I'll even make it a lot bigger too. Um, I'll make sure it scans too. Yep, should be good to go. And then again, reach out to me. I'll see if I can make this work. Um, you'll also be able to find, if you just search up William Penn and my name, you'll be able to find me. Here's my email. If you have any questions, reach out. This is the thing that I love to do. I love doing Excel and all that stuff. So if you guys need any help or just questions, please reach out. I'm here to help as much as I can because you guys help me out a lot too. So
Um, that being said, Jordan, thank you. That was
a lot to throw at a little bit of time,
it was
but
basically this the whole time. But we appreciate you for setting that up and for going in depth into the process. There's a lot of things I didn't know what I thought I knew about code replacement and photo mechanic. It was very top level, and I didn't realize how deep it could get into how automated it could get with even just folders and cameras and stuff like that. That being said, thank you again, Jordan. That was
yeah,
super
no
helpful.
problem. Thank you guys.